Hey, good morning, Faithbox. Hope you guys have had an awesome weekend post-Thanksgiving. You're back in it. Maybe you got some shopping done on Black Friday or Cyber Monday yesterday and took care of all of that. I don't know what your holiday traditions include, but I hope you guys had a great time. One of our traditions is that the weekend after Thanksgiving is when we put up our tree, and we have a real tree, but we weren't always real tree people, so we just started doing that over the past few years. But yeah, that's why we have it up, and I figured this would be a great spot to record the Faithbox videos for today and during the course of the rest of this week. So we're back in it with family as we wrap up the month of November. I hope this has been incredibly encouraging to you guys. I know there's been a lot of positive feedback and healing and excitement around this theme. And so we've got a very powerful and vulnerable devotion from the Chapman family today. So we'll pick up in day 27. And Mary Beth Chapman writes this: when Maria, their daughter, passed away in 2008, it was the most painful thing our family has ever lived through. And there have been times since that we didn't think we would survive the pain, but we have. God has given us the grace to push back the darkness and choose light, often through gritted teeth and clenched fists, claiming pieces or places of goodness and healing as reminders to our souls that God does indeed work all things together for good. But what I didn't see coming was how good the goodness of the Lord would be in the land of the living. This is a very powerful devotion, and before I even jump into it, I just want to say thank you to Mary Beth and to Stephen Curtis Chapman and their entire family, really, for being willing to share this experience. For those of you who don't know and aren't familiar with the story, a little over 10 years ago, about 10 and a half years ago, in the spring of 2008, the Chapman family went through a horrifying accident, a tragedy that you wouldn't wish on anyone, let alone someone that is so wholesome and people that love family as much as the Chapmans do. But unfortunately, their daughter Maria was struck accidentally by their son as he was backing down the driveway, and she passed away. She died. And so I couldn't even fathom as a parent what you would do. I couldn't even fathom as a son or a brother, how you would go through that. And it just, mind-boggling. And of course, if you've ever dealt with the loss of a loved one, and particularly a child, there's questions of why, God, and why would you let this happen, and how could this be, and why do we have to go through this, and I thought you were good. All the things that she's talking about here. And so before I jump into this, I just want to say thank you to you guys for sharing that story and being willing to share your heart through this. I know this isn't the first time you've spoken about it, but we as a Faithbox community just want to say thank you for inviting us to learn and to share from your experiences. But one of the things that struck me about this devotion as I was preparing to share it was, some of the words and the language that she used. She's very honest, and she says, we didn't think we would survive the pain. And I think sometimes as a Christian, it's easy to assume or to kind of put on this front, right? Like we got to put on the mask, like, well, God is good all the time. And so if something bad happens, we've just got to keep saying it out loud and not really deal with how we actually feel, the anger, the hurt, the frustration. And so she just admits it, we didn't think we were going to survive the pain, but we have. And then she said, God has given us the grace to push back the darkness and to choose light. I love that phrase, because in a moment like that, in a crisis like that, whether it's you losing someone you love or whether it's just navigating the tension that sometimes comes with family, pushing back the darkness, because see, no matter what your circumstances, no matter what your situation or what your family dynamic is, darkness is always encroaching. The enemy is always trying to advance upon what's most sacred to us, which is our faith and our family. And so he's always trying to kind of encroach darkness upon us. And so you have to push back that. And like she said, you have to choose light even in the face of darkness, even when it feels like there is no light to be found. And she said, we often had to do this through gritted teeth and clenched fists. And I love that language and that imagery, because what she's saying is it's okay to be angry. It's okay to be hurt. It's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to be disappointed and discouraged, and to just kind of just, God, why? And but even despite those feelings, it's the fact that they chose light, chose to believe that God was going to be good. And then I guess the last bit that I'll close with in this is her last paragraph. She said, what I didn't see coming was how good the goodness of the Lord would be in the land of the living. Now, I don't know if this is exactly what she meant, but when I read this is what it meant to me. of course, their daughter passed away, but the rest of the family survived. The rest of the family is alive. And sometimes in a situation like that, in a dark moment, you think life is never going to be as good as it once was. Life is never going to be, to the level or the degree that I was hoping or that I expected or that I planned for. And I don't want to put words in their mouth, and I'm not going to say that life is as good now as it was back then when they had their daughter. That's not what I mean. I think what she's expressing here is that she didn't see how life could still be good. And she didn't see that even though they would continue on living, even though they would live away or apart from their daughter Maria, how could life be good? How could we experience the goodness of life once more? And here she shares with us that life has been good, that there have been good moments, that she didn't realize in that moment 10 plus years ago that life could be good. And fortunately, by God's grace, they've been able to experience the goodness of life despite having gone through one of the most tragic things imaginable. And so, I guess this is a little bit of a longer, lengthier devotional, but, I just wanted to encourage us wherever we are. I know in a community like ours and the size that we have, there's probably someone watching who's experienced a similar thing, maybe not the exact set of circumstances, but a child of yours or a sibling of yours or a family member, died prematurely or in a horrific way. And you've had to deal with that tension of grief and loss and frustration and anger. And I just want you to know that we're here for you. If there's anything that we can do to encourage you or any way that you can pray for you, we'd love to do that. You can, drop me a message if you're watching this on Facebook. You can, send me a direct message. If you want to send me an email, it's Ricky, R-I-C-K-Y, at faithbox.com. I'd love to pray for you. I'd love to be able to encourage you however I can. So thank you guys for tuning in today, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.